Okay, boys and girls, today we're talking about the best lighter you can carry for survival. And they were taking a look at the lighter that I always carry in my personal survival kit, and explaining why I carry this lighter in particular, kind of break down why I like lighters like the peanut lighter, and why I think that this is the best lighter you can carry. Let's jump into it. Now, before we get too far into this, and I understand that there are a lot of different lighters and types of lighters out there. There's even electric lighters, there's, butane, there's all kinds of crazy things out there. But I want to say that I think that this lighter in particular, the peanut, embodies a lot of characteristics, or a lot of good characteristics for my specific environment. So I don't think that this is necessarily the end-all to beat-all lighter for every situation or any situation, but I think that the peanut lighter for Alaska and for the type of conditions that we go through here makes for the best choice. So here's why. So the first thing with the peanut lighter, the first thing that is nice about the peanut lighter is that this thing is a fully sealed unit. So you can see it has a nice thick O-ring right about there. You guys see that little black bit, and that means that this thing always has this little guy always has fluid in it. If you guys can see there, hopefully the wind is kind of pushing it around, but this thing always has fluid and is always ready to go at any time of the day. The other thing that is nice about the peanut lighter, though it kind of is a pro and con to it, is that because there's really no wind protection against it, you can put this just about anywhere. So if you got to get into a really tight spot, start a really hard thing to light, this thing is going to be able to get into just about any spot in any place. And of course, this is also hands-free. So unlike a butane lighter where you have to hold down, a button, and the moment you let go, it stops feeding the fuel. This thing is, you fire it up, and then you basically can take it, put it wherever you want, and it will start a fire that way. So those are some of the biggest things that I like about it. But the ultimate reason why I think that this is a very bomb-proof lighter is because of the fact that it does not use pressurized gases, or electricity. So in Alaska, not so much in this time of year, but especially in our winter months, electricity, or things that are battery powered and things that use pressurized gases like butane, do not do very well out in the wild. And that is primarily because, one, for pressurized gases, they tend to get very liquid when it gets very cold out. So at temperatures like -10, -20, or even in the positives like 20 above, or even 20 above or 10 above, the teens or single-digit positives, those fuels tend to become too much of a liquid that they are not able to properly aerosolize and combust the way that they should. So a lot of times with butane lighters and other such things, unless they're kept on your body, like right next to your body, and they're getting heat from your body, they will not effectively work. And so that is the biggest disadvantage to them. And moving over to things like electric or battery-powered lighters, once again, they don't necessarily suffer from the exact same issue, but the cold drains batteries and is harder on batteries than the warm temperatures. So you can end up finding you're either getting a lot less battery life out of those particular electric or battery-powered lighters, or you're not getting any type of life out of them. I know one of the hardest challenges to filming in the winter is keeping cameras alive. So trust me, the impact on battery life and battery use is definitely present. So once again, going back to traditional lighters like this peanut lighter, or like Zippos, and one of the primary reasons why I EDC a Zippo is that they're a much simpler means of fire starting. And what you do is you put a highly flammable gas in here. It feeds up through the wick and the wicking kind of compound that you use, or the wicking type of agent, and it just sits there and slowly evaporates into a kind of vapor that can be ignited very readily and very easily. And so with lighters like this and with the Zippo, they're far more simple, and once again, far easier to use because you're not sitting with a tank of gas that has to hopefully vaporize. You're dealing with a much smaller quantity of actual flammable gas that is already in a type of vaporized state because of the way it sits in the wicking compound and or the wick itself. So that makes these lighters far more bomb-proof and far more weatherproof when it comes to temperatures. So that is the primary reason why I like the peanut lighter. Of course, like I said, it does need to be, any type of survival lighter should have O-rings and be sealed for two reasons. One, it makes sure that you do always have gas or propellant or, lighter fluid in your lighter itself, but it also means that if your lighter is dropped or exposed to water, that it will not go bad. Because one of the biggest disadvantages to especially things like Zippos and the peanut lighter here is that if they are exposed to water in an unprotected state, they will lose their fluid and be rendered virtually useless. So yeah, they definitely have that as their biggest con to them. But once again, if you have a proper sealed unit like this here, where you can seal it up nicely and it's all good, then you should be absolutely rock solid. Now I will say, the peanut lighter isn't the only name in the game. Exotac at least did make a version, I believe it was called the titanLIGHT, that was a similar type of premise to the peanut lighter, but it was, I believe, a little bit bigger in length and in diameter. But essentially, whether it's the peanut lighter like this, whether it's a Zippo, whether it's a titanLIGHT, whatever, this is my preferred method of starting fires, or lighters, I should say, for carrying in the wilderness, because they're very simple, they're very user-friendly, and they work every time you need them to, whether it's 20 above, negative 20, 70 above, negative 70, this is going to be there and work for you every single time. So that is the ultimate survival lighter for me. Like I said, this is very much situationally dependent. For people who live, closer to the equator, where it doesn't really get cold in the winter, this might not be as valid a point. You might always be able to rock a Zippo or a Bic. I know Bics are super, super loved, but once again, Bics also do use a liquid fuel to them, and so I caution a lot of people who carry Bics, coming up here or operating in the outdoors in the winter, don't rely on a Bic lighter, because that Bic, if it does get cold, will no longer be able to aerosolize the fuel that is in the actual lighter itself, and therefore it will not be of any use to you. So anyways, that is my experience and the reason why I carry a peanut lighter in my survival kit, my personal survival kit for emergency fire starting. As always, guys, God bless, and I'm out.